I went through, obviously a later divorce, and that was difficult on my son, really difficult on Ashley. And then I think that some of that was the fact that I was, I wasn't drinking all the time, but I was drinking in excess at the wrong times, and I think that that's what a lot of people do sometimes, is that they use it for the wrong reasons, and I used to hear it. I hear it now all the time, and is that, I need to knock the edge off, and I need to just forget. And I need to, and you need to be in a fuzzy place for a while. And I had a lot of time in fuzzy place, and I needed to get rid of that, and I needed to clear my head.
Where was that place? Some of the lower points in your life that you've reached mentally?
I think, definitely, the fact that my first marriage didn't work, and that was, it's a mix of things that, between us. And then, so that's not where I wanted to be at the time. And the effects that it had on my son, and it took a long time for him then to come round and to trust me again, and to have belief. He always had belief in me, but to trust me again. And then I think that was low. And I think that, when I look back, is that a lot of my bad decisions were when I was in that fuzzy kind of haze, and that it got progressively worse. That got progressively worse to the degree where it was, trying to hide it and trying to hide how much. And I was kind of a functioning kind of drunk. I think you could probably say that. And I was functioning. I was still training most days, crazily enough. I was training to kind of mask it and cover it. And that was probably my savior, that I was still, because I remember I said to my wife, I said to Nikki, I'm probably the fittest. If I'm, a drunk, then I'm the fittest drunk in the world. She said, yeah, you probably are, actually. I was in great condition for a drunk.
So the fuzzy haze, where was your mind? Did you have periods of depression?
I had periods of depression. I can honestly say that my depression wasn't that bad, although I did, when it's like anything that gives you an up, it gives you an even bigger down, doesn't it?
Mm.
And so I hated that feeling, and also hated myself for letting it happen, because I have got this really, it's a bizarre, I don't know whether you can call it a power, but I have the ability to be able to say, stop. And I can just, and that's what I did in the end. In the end, there was an incident when I was working for Belgium Judo, and there was an incident. It was Christmas. It was, I tell you exactly the day. It was 20th of December, and me and a Belgian coach, we got absolutely hammered. But we were at the wrong place, and it got noticed, and so I remember they pulled me up in front of this board, and I looked down at these guys, and half of them were people I didn't want to be in that situation with. They're not people that I respected, and they're not people that I trusted. So I said, if you're going to sack me, but I'll promise you now that I will just, this is it, I'll stop. I'm just going to stop. I've decided. On the way back in the car, I rang Nikki up, my wife, and I said, whatever you hear now, whatever, I'm just going to stop. So that was it. Stopped.
You just saw the moment and said, stop.
Stop.
So that fuzzy place, what advice could you give to people about how to overcome that dark place, the depression, whether it has to do with drinking or not?
I think if it's to do with drinking, all I can say is that the 2 days or a week into not drinking, you'll feel different. It'll make a physical difference. and you'll like that physical difference.
Mhm.
And then from a mental perspective as well, because I think that, you have a massive downer, and I think that must be because of drugs as well, because I had a situation with my brother, he was like, he was professional wrestling, and the drugs was an element there. And, so I'd never touched a drug or even seen one in my life. But, I'd let the alcohol side go too far and then decided never to do that. So then I guess I had people ringing me up, saying, how can we stop? So when they say, can I have a word and can I discuss something with you? And I know then what they want to discuss with me, and the thing is that I would say, if you stop, then feel the effects of it, and it will make a difference to your everyday life, and that will make a massive difference. And I think about anybody who kind of is down all the time is to find the cause of what's pushing you down. You know what I mean? And try and attack that. Because it's never. Somebody once said to me, they said, "Whatever you got, we've got something special. I mean, we have a great life, and I've had a great competition record. It could have been better, but it was great. But I've had success with my business, and we're still out there, and we have a great life. We travel all the world, and there's people out there that would live in your house at the drop of a hat, wherever you are. They drive your car, no matter what car it is. Some people haven't got a car, and whatever food you're having and you're moaning about food, right? That somebody out there that would take that and gladly eat that. All right. So there's always somebody worse off than you. Mm-hmm. And I think that we tend to sometimes, look at the things that we haven't got rather than the things we have got.
Yeah. It's a skill probably to be grateful for the things you have. Exactly as you said. And this, sometimes the little things like food and cars and all that kind of stuff. Just to have gratitude for, and family, all this kind of stuff. But it's still, having talked to a bunch of Olympic athletes, there is when you give so much of your life to winning and then you lose, sometimes even when you win, but when you lose at the very top, it's a tough thing to go through.
The most difficult thing, I think, for anybody is when they have to decide when to stop.
Yeah.
And that all of a sudden, and I see the ones that are going to second Olympic Games and then the third Olympic, and the ones that are there and they're holding on and they're in their 30s now, different to when they were 19 years of age. 30 something is different to 19, and then what are you going to do afterwards? And then how do you become just a normal person? You're never going to be a normal person as such, but I think you've got to do normal things, and then I remember the first time that when I finished competition, I had good sponsors. This was, 40 years ago, but I had two really good sponsorships, vitamin company and also a judogi company. And I had a car and, I had money. I just, and I was going all over the world. I was successful. And then I stopped. And they took everything back. They took my car. They did it within 2 weeks as well. They stopped my funding. And the vitamin company said, "Thank you very much. It's been a great. We've done well by you. Bye."
This was after your last Olympics.
88 Olympics.
Yeah.
It just, when that finished, and then that was it. And then it's right. Okay. First time I had to go in there and buy a tracksuit and a pair of training shoes. And, wow.
Yeah, those are different. Sitting there in the evening by yourself.
So you go from 7 days a week or 6 days a week going into the gym, and you're working out the dojo, and then you don't have to do it. And that's why you get a lot of when they finish competition, they finish that 30 to 40. It's still, I mean, Ilias is still doing it now. He's still in there and he's still, and because he can, right? Yeah. Okay. And it's natural. And I did exactly the same. And then, like I say, you just get to an age and you just think, I'm just going to kind of take a step back.
Which is why, like, there's certain athletes like Rio Kotani never stops. It just dominates for 14 years. Probably one of the winningest athletes in judo.
Yeah.
7-time world champ, 2-time Olympic champ, medaled at 5 Olympics. So it's always impressive when
never
you have
stopped.
Never stopped. So that's an option if you're like the greatest ever.
It'd be interesting, wouldn't it, just to see what they're doing now? You know, I mean, because at some stage you have to get a normal
job. You do
job.
have to stop.
You do have to stop. You know, at some stage you have to decide what you're going to do. You know, and it's either into coaching. The judo is either to coaching, or if you're not in coaching, then it's into something to do with the media. Mm-hmm. And, I was lucky that it was just by accident, really, with the commentary. Somebody said, would you do a voiceover? So I did this voiceover, and that was back in 1982. I did that.
So you've been commentating since 1982.
I did some voiceovers. I wouldn't call it commentating. But I did some voiceovers, and then I did some, we did some different European Championships, World Championship kind of events, and I did the voiceovers for it. And the way that it was done, it was more narration. And so it kind of turned into, then somebody asked me to do an event. And when you listen to the intonation of the voice and stuff like that, it wasn't like it is now. But I guess that's just something that developed as because then it was coming from the heart. Mm-hmm. And I, started to get excited and just do my thing. And it was just me, really. It's just my style.
Well, I've listened to your commentary from a while back. I don't know if it's the 80s, but it's still there.
I think it's timing as well, isn't it? It's like, sure. You get your timing a bit better and know when to go in, when to come out, when to say something, when not, And I think that in the early days, I tended to want to talk all the time. And you don't have to do that.
Also knowing when to shut up.
That's the key, isn't it?
Yeah, part of the drama is in the silence, building up to the setup and the throw and all that kind of stuff. But also, you're very good at, while radiating passion, being very precise and specific about the details of the throw and the setup and why something worked and didn't. So
yeah, I think there's two kinds of commentating. You can commentate what you see, and then you commentate what people can't see, and so if you've got somebody that is not really understanding of what's happening in the inner part of the game, so it might be a technical thing, or it might be the tactical part of the play here that's going on, and if you can introduce that as well, then you've got an advantage.